Welcome back everyone. Continuing our trip to all the zoos in the country. We have come to Battersea Children's Zoo in London, the smaller of London zoos. See what this is like. Let's go and explore. The first exhibit as soon as you enter is ring-tailed lemurs. But they're all napping because it's really, really hot today.
And you didn't bring your tail?
I didn't bring my tail, no. I'm glad you remember that.
Darren experiencing what a meerkat is like.
Oh, I see.
Hello.
You made a friend.
I have a bag if you'd like to get in it.
Let's take the meerkat home.
I mean, literally, I could probably just up and over.
It's like, bye guys. It's be on the news later. And all Battersea Zoo's meerkats have gone missing. She got a good time in there. They all came up to her.
I think the rest were just like, looking, when they see you, they're like,
Look
Jesus,
at
that's a
that.
big giant meerkat.
It's like, oh look, I'm going up the stairs.
They are gorgeous creatures in my opinion.
I really like this stair thing. This is a really clever little bit of, I suppose you can call it enrichment. I don't normally like boulders and things. That's quite, I've never seen one of those in the zoo before. I like that. That's quite cool. Got a European polecat here. Look at him go. Hey buddy.
So apparently it's coming from the French, poule chat, which means chick cat.
Oh, chick cat, yeah, because they eat chickens, yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Don't know what they're doing here.
get back in here. I'm not finished with you yet.
Yeah, I think this is what...
So this is getting a music overlay because, you know...
I'm sorry, I have very bad narration.
I mean, like, everyone is going to think the same. I thought the same.
They've got an animal update section. It's a bit about the harvest mice. So they're releasing these with their sister park, the New Forest Wildlife Park. And they've released 70 mice together back into the wild from restored habitats in Ealing. They've now done 1,000 since the project began, which is amazing. They've also got Nice Animal of the Week. Alonso, for being so cute, his video went viral on TikTok. And a Naughty Animal of the Week, Sheldon the Box Turtle, for ignoring his long-term partner Shelley and spending all his time with the new young turtle on the scene, Michelle. They've also got really nice notes about dietary changes and weekly training. The bit over here, we've got Janice and Chandler, which has made Paul very amused, hasn't it, Paul?
Oh my god.
I've been trained so that they jump on scales and Janice won't steal Chandler's food anymore. And yeah, and for tamarins, Cody training. We've got a nice bit about kookaburras' new diets because they got chicks. And did you know about emus eating rocks and stones so that they can feel their gizzards? So we've got 3 conjoined capuchin enclosures here, then a bridge connecting them to 3 conjoined squirrel monkey enclosures. I'm guessing at some point it can be used to be 6 squirrel monkeys, because obviously a capuchin couldn't get through that and it's sealed at both ends. But it's still quite a nice size for them to spread out into them, so they can go into any of the 3 sections, but also have 2 internal home environments in both. I'm wondering when that was last used and if that's something they've done regularly, or something left over from something a long time ago. I've just noticed in the middle of the squirrel monkey enclosure there's a bit of feeding enrichment on the floor, like a little grass feeder, and then a swing. They've got a little bit being done by Beaza, And it's Grab That Gap campaign. It's all about using small areas to replant wildflowers and let this go wild so the insects and native populations have somewhere to live. And I've also got a mini one here for them to use, a little bird box at the back there, which you might be able to see in the shadows. How you can help the environment from your own home. This is their Scottish wildcat enclosure. Now we can't see them out, and as we discussed in Edinburgh, their population in the wild in the UK has now diminished. They've actually got a nice sign here explaining how in 2018 they've now been listed as functionally extinct in the UK. The breeding program here has been really successful. They've actually joined a group that are trying to reintroduce them into the wild, and now Mount Angus had excellent genetics, so he's been taken to a reintroduction centre in the Highlands, and he will father kittens that will actually be reintroduced into the wild to help bolster the species in the wild and see if we can bring them back from this troubling time. We've just seen these bird feeders, but they contain wool from the sheep instead, so the birds can use it for nesting material. They've got loads of little signs about what you can do at home. I really like this because it shows that it isn't just zoos who can save populations. You can do it in your own home by doing this for native populations. This is the strangest but coolest kookaburra enclosure I've ever seen. Got one aviary on this side, then a tunnel they can fly through, see a kookaburra in it, to a second aviary on that side. I've never seen like an aviary for kookaburras like this before. So the individual aviaries are actually quite small, but it's nice they've got like somewhere they can actually just fly straight from one end to the other. This is the enclosure for the fantasy rats. I love that it's pirate themed. It's so cool. Just can't see any rats at the moment. This is the harvest mice enclosure, where they are breeding for reintroduction to the wild to help boost their native populations. Here's Europe's smallest rodent. And although of least concern in Europe, their population is declining in the UK. So these are being released in the UK to help bolster the population. They've got a bit about otters on social media and about how otters kept in captivity that aren't zoos, just pets and things, are probably not in good conditions. There's a lot here about having their teeth removed, they've been taken from the wild or snatched from their parents. It's obviously all unregulated. And there's also a bit here about poor welfare in 12 different otter cafes that have opened in the last decade alone. So yeah, liking, commenting and sharing otter posts online might not actually be good for global otter welfare. They've got a lot of boards down here about research, education, things going to extinction, conservation work. Not just what they're doing here, but just across the country in different zoos. So we've got things from like pandas to Tasmanian devils, Contop tamarin, which they're dealing with here, black-footed ferrets. There's just a lot of education just on one little pathway. I really like that. They've got another really good info board about pet trade and how African greys are being taken from the wild. So numbers have decreased by 90 to 95% just since the 90s. 30 million African greys have been poached in the last 30 years. That's 1/5 of all wild African grey parrots are taken to pet trade every year. So they can live like 80 years, but this is like really impacting the wild's populations. So you know, it's really important to question where your pets come from. An average pet parrot will live in 5 different households in its life just because of how long they live. People just don't want to keep them for all that period of time. That's really sad. They're hanging frozen food in the enclosure because it is actually really hot today. It's going to be hitting like 30 degrees C. He's getting a nice little frozen treat. He's like, look at the shoes. There we go, let's see him have a go. Come on buddy, you can do it. Yeah. Grab it. You had it, why did you give up? You're gonna go from the top? You can do it, buddy. Is he gonna pull it up? Oh, look at that. Clever, buddy.
Ja.
So clever. He wasn't too interested in the frozen apples, he was getting other treats now. And that brings us to the end of Battersea's Children's Zoo. Very, very small compared to London Zoo. Honestly, I didn't even know this was here until a couple of years back. But actually quite impressed. At first thought, I was like, oh, some of these enclosures are quite small, like for the lemurs. But actually, when you consider some of the zoos we've seen, like Bridlington, it is a better lemur enclosure than Bridlington had. And one thing we found out very late on, which I'll mention quickly, is that they are the stud book holder for the otter breeding programs across the world, which is actually a really impressive title to have, and to have that power to do that. So they control all the genetics and the breeding program to get them back out into the wild. So I thought that was a really impressive thing to hear at the talk there. And being a children's zoo, there's a lot of stuff in there for children, a lot of space dedicated to it. It's definitely a family-orientated zoo.
Yeah, like the fire engine, helicopters, there's even like a climbing area and stuff like that, so it's very sort of children-orientated.
Yeah, like little diggers and all that kind of stuff, so there's loads. One maybe slight issue there is they've dedicated, what, nearly half the zoo to that, would you say?
Yeah.
Maybe just under. And also there's a lot more space to possibly just make enclosures a bit larger. Not all of them are bad, there are some very good ones.
No, I mean they definitely could expand a little bit more on some of the areas.
Yeah.
Like for the enclosures, they're not bad sizes, but they could do with being a little bit bigger, and obviously having the children areas a little bit smaller. I think maybe
it's not appalling. I've seen certainly a lot worse. But I'm not saying have more species, just giving the species they have a little bit more room. But that's something to bear in mind with it. Like, it's about half the price of getting into London Zoo. I think maybe just a bit more than half the price of London Zoo.
It's like £10.95 per person. That's adult.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, London Zoo is what? I dread to think how much bigger than this. Like, London Zoo is more than a one-day attraction. It could take you longer than a day, whereas we've done this in half a day.
But also because we were interested in staying longer and everything. You can do like see the whole zoo in 1 hour.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially if you've got kids, there's a lot more time to go sit around and just have a play. That's really good. Something actually that's really impressed me is the educational value of the zoo. There's a lot in there about what you can do at home. And we're not just talking like turning your showers off and things, but actual really more meaningful.
Like putting bird boxes up, planting not wild plants, but like wildflowers.
Like, yeah. So there's a lot of that.
How it's important to have like I don't know, something that is like deteriorating as well, because like animals get something from it, or like in the mice area they were like saying how we are killing their own habitats as well.
Yeah. So there's loads about that, so I'm cutting up for. about how you at home can do things. I think it's really important for zoos to get that across, not just by saying we're out there helping capuchins in the wild with this breeding program and this new place in the rainforest for them. It's saying at home, if you did this, you would help with this species, so give it a go. And because everyone has a responsibility. Yeah, you might not be able to help a squirrel monkey or a spider monkey in the wild, but you can help your local birds and your local insects. So it's nice to see zoos doing that.
Also, how you can help otters, did you say that, with Instagram?
Yes, I didn't mention that.
By not replying, by not commenting, or by not sharing any posts on social media.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, even if you share something saying like, oh look how bad this is, or like if you're commenting it's bad, you might like raise awareness towards other people, but you're also increasing the amount of views that they're getting.
Yeah, so your comment might help like one person go, oh maybe this is bad, but the algorithm on the social media has been like, oh, someone interacted, let's get more people to see it, because they just want people to go on their network. So yeah, that was actually, I don't think I've seen any zoo talk about that. I think it's been quite interesting. There was something at Edinburgh that was, the research facilities and that, and now we've got a zoo here that's doing a lot with social media and questioning that.
Even parrots, I believe, it wasn't.
Yeah, there's a bit at the end about African grey's as pets, and these are things that we maybe really don't think about, that we really should be thinking about, that our own personal day-to-day life, just on our smartphones, actually has major significant impacts on species thousands of miles away in other countries. Like otter cafes opening up. Japan has quite a few of those now. I'm sure probably other countries as well, but I'm only familiar, I've seen on Instagram some in Japan. And this actually highlights the fact that they had their teeth removed and things because they're technically a dangerous animal, because pound for pound, their bites are stronger than that of a lion.
Yeah,
and
they're in the same category as a lion.
Yeah, in for danger. So keepers aren't allowed in the enclosure because of how sharp and powerful their bite is. You don't want to lose a finger. So to keepers, they are classified as dangerous as a lion in the sense of the damage that they can do for their size. And so that's obviously why when they're in captivity, they remove all the teeth and things, and they've been taken away at too young of an age to try and make them more tame to be in a cafe. And when you see it on Instagram, it all looks really cute, like, oh, look at the otter, when actually this animal's probably had a really horrific life. So
probably lonely.
Yeah, they're quite social animals. And obviously, you've got the So it's something really important to bear in mind. And I like seeing zoos doing this. More and more zoos seem to be doing this now. But this was the first time I've actually seen address social media as a problem for animals. So that's something really important to bear in mind.
Yeah, it was a nice little zoo to do.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Yeah, definitely a good day out, or a good half a day out, we'll say. Especially if you've got kids. Kids are going to love it. And you'll spend a lot longer there if you have got kids. There's so much for the kids to do. And if your kids can learn a little bit on the way, even better.
But then when you're outside, when it's a good, nice day like today, you have like a green space just outside if you want to chill in there.
Yeah, it's obviously got Battersea Park surrounding it. So that's amazing.
So yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Gift shop wise, I didn't buy anything this time just because they didn't have anything branded, which really surprised me for a zoo in London. I was going to find like a little pin badge or a magnet or something with a little logo of the lemur on it, but no, nothing, which did surprise me. I like getting branded things, but alas, wasn't to happen today. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this little zoo outing. Thank you for joining us today, guys, and hopefully I'll see you for the next one. Bye!
Bye!
Bye-bye.